Okay. So, good afternoon. In this moment is 5 o'clock. Um, I was calling to students that they tried to get in here today in this class, real English class. And today is April 15. So I'm gonna try to call again, twice again. Okay, so I tried to call again the students, but they didn't answer. So in this moment, I'm going to explain what consists the class of today. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So this is the week 4, and here is the topic, talking about past experiences. Okay. So here I start greeting the students. Then I ask them about how was the day of today, how was the weekend, what did you do last weekend, okay? Then I choose one of the students to read the objectives of the class of today. And the objective of the class student is students will be able to talk about past experiences using the simple past with regular and irregular verbs. Okay. Then I start playing a game. This is a word wall app. The activity is speaking wheel. It's about speaking, and the idea here is talk about past experiences, and students can learn um, about irregular verbs. For example, there is a question and I select one of the students. So the question is, the last time you stood somewhere for a long time? A student answer, and the idea is students try to answer with the same verb, that in this case is stood. Then I choose other student, for example, this something you bought last month. Here, the idea is the students use the verb bought, the past of buy, and a student practice this verb. This is a irregular verb. And other one, for example, here. Uh, Tell me the last time you went on a trip. So students speak these questions. Okay. The last time that I went to a trip, it was when I went to San Andres or Providence. Okay, something like that. When I wait more a little time here talking about, and the idea is each student participate and answer those questions. Then I select a pair of students and I let student A, student B, and they must read this, okay? And they read, and here I correct some pronunciation of if a student probably they don't know a word in English, and also I evaluate the intonation of this. This is the second conversation, okay? And then other. So the idea is here students must participate and read every question. Okay. When they finish that, I put this video and I explain the important to learn regular verbs because regular verbs it's very important and the pronunciation is different. So I put the video. In this case, it's a video about different pronunciation. Okay.
When thinking about the sound, voiced
For
sounds are sounds that
example,
are made in
the
the throat
sounds
and
with
make your
D,
throat
T, and
vibrate. If
ED.
you put your hand on your
Okay.
throat and make design becomes designed, muse
So here,
becomes
students can learn
soft.
about the correct pronunciation. Okay. hmm
Decide.
When they finish to do this, and the next step is I let students to read this. I choose one of the students, and they need to read and pronounce according to the video that we saw. Try to pronounce and read all of this. For example, here is an explanation about T sound. Okay, so a student read, and the idea is use the T sound. For example, I helped, I watched, looked, jumped. Okay, with the T sound. Then I choose other student to D sound, like played, cleaned, open, lived. Okay, and other student read the last one. Wanted, needed, started, decided. Okay, so students must read this and practice the right pronunciation. Then, like the last activity is some students enter to this platform, like Mira, and there is a question. They have to write the questions. Okay, for example, this one. The student must write what's one memorable thing you did last year. So students, the idea is to write. For example, here I have some examples. Some students did, and then a student must to answer. Now, teacher, last year I was in Punta Cana on December 7th, okay? Any experience. And they talk about this topic about the idea is talking about past. For example, in the last year, I moved to another city. Mhm. And I evaluate the pronunciation. And when we finish, I send the attendance forms. The idea is students can, uh, you know, fill up the caps here. And this is everything for the class. We finish here. So in this moment is 5:12 p.m. So it has passed 12 minutes. In any student is available now. They are they didn't get in. They didn't enter to Microsoft Teams. So this is everything about how was my class. So I'm gonna stop recording. So bye bye.